Every time I think like life is tough, a voice in the back of my head yells, "Girl, you could have a child." Imagine. Work was long, yes, but imagine if you had a child and you came home and you couldn't stop working because being a parent is a job. Mental health is barely holding on. Imagine if you had a child. Your mental health don't matter no more. Is that child okay? Like, it's tough right now in the world. Imagine if you had a child. Like, it's tough and you worried about, like, the world. And you gotta worry for that child in the world. Like, it could always be worse. Like, you could have a child. Thank you, Jesus.
Imagine having a child in this difficult system. Imagine going out and you're exhausted, coming back home like, I just want to relax. But you have a child. When I saw this video, it cracked me up. I'm like, true. Give it up to the mothers that, oh my God, it's not easy. I went to the comment section and it got more interesting. I am that I am said I can barely deal with my own presence after work. Like, for real. This one says, I think having a child comes with superpowers from God because I just don't know how people do it. God really gives them superpowers because I'd be more exhausted than the people with kids in my office. So she replied a particular comment. So let me play the video for the comment she replied.
This year, we've had a lot of conversations about protesting. I also would rather abort myself from this planet than birth a child. And I feel like it's not talked about enough how choosing not to birth a child is not only an extremely valid and unselfish life choice, but an extremely powerful and effective means of protesting.
Yeah.
It should not be controversial at this point to say that even though, yes, there are beautiful things that come out of motherhood, it is also a perfect tool for the government to use as a shackle. Many of you met me because I do cymatics experiments and evaluate things related to brainwashing. I ain't saying that motherhood and brainwashing are the same, but there are parts that can be looked at very similarly. For one, pregnancy hurts.
Yeah.
Every day that you continue on the journey toward bringing a baby to term, you prove your allegiance to it via experiencing the pain, enduring it, and still pressing on. That sounds familiar. Once you birth it, in most cases, you are bound to it, and there are consequences for deserting it. That sounds familiar. The second you have a child, you lose the identifier that belongs to you. You are no longer an individual. You are a part of a group that has standards and stigmas. You are not whatever your name is. You become mom. And I'm not saying that having a child is brainwashing or that motherhood is a cult, but it sounds familiar. I also am not by any means saying that the government forces you to have children, but it is a perfect tool. For one, it guarantees a person will be in the workforce because you cannot legally just stop providing for it.
Yeah.
And if you do, there are consequences and ramifications. It guarantees that in addition to the fact that you will be in the workforce, you will contribute to the economy. You must feed it. You must clothe it. You must make sure it has what it needs. Or there are consequences and ramifications. It stifles your mobility. It makes you worry about how much you can do, when you can do, and essentially pulls many pieces of revolution from you because you can't do that no more. You got a child. You have something to worry about. And if you're poor, they know that you will never stop working toward what you need, though you'll likely never get all of it, and the cycle is bound to repeat itself. Intentionally not having kids to stop a cycle, to not help them repopulate, to not give another body to the workforce that is a part of a bigger machine is a revolutionary act. And I don't want you to let nobody tell you otherwise.
This child-free woman is making a lot of sense. It's so hard being a mom. It's so hard being an adult on your own. Then not having kids, it's exhausting. And you all, you thinking about yourself alone is exhausting. Then you have to think about another human. And you just have to, because if you don't, it shows that probably you don't care about your child, and which is not right. So if you're even hustling, you're trying to make money. If you're a child free by choice woman, you know that you're making money for just yourself. But when you have a child or two or three, you know that you have to hustle for these children. So it's exhausting. So she, thinking about the fact that, okay, I'm tired, but what if I have a child? So I'm not done with the comments. I still have other comments to share with you all. Just Maya says, man, I can barely deal with my dog after work. So I already know I am grateful. Lo say, right, I told my mama, yeah, if I got knocked up, you probably wouldn't be raising my baby because the dog is too much. I swear I love my dog, but sometimes it drives me nuts. Me with 3 high energy dogs, girl, I'm barely holding on. Miss Lance Pie says, I was coming down with the flu, and all I thought as lay down to sleep was, thank God I don't have a kid. I slept from 5:30 till midnight. I woke up, drank an ensure, and slept till 6:30. Woke up again and was so glad I didn't have a kid to deal with when I was ill. I'm so sorry you were sick, but I swear this killed me. Like, how do people do it? Literally couldn't take care of myself, girl. I don't know how to do it. You will see mothers that are extremely sick, and you see them taking care of their child. You see them breastfeeding their child, especially breastfeeding mothers. They are sick, but you see them taking care of the child, breastfeeding, bathing, doing everything for their child. Like, it's exhausting. Nair says, know your kids be your biggest blessings. And the creator was like, the greater Gapsi, which is the original creator, says, oh, they can be your greatest cause because you don't want them. I swear you can't say that you don't want kids, because someone's going to tell you that they are going to be your biggest blessing. These now comments are people that will tell you kids are your greatest blessing, blah blah blah. It can only be a blessing to you if you want a child. If you don't want a child, they're not blessing. They're like, okay, it is what it is. It's not a blessing. That's why you see some people that are really looking for a child, and when they eventually find a child, you see how happy they are. You see the way they take care of their child. You see the way they are, like, because they've been looking for that child. But someone that you've been protecting yourself not to have a child, then you got pregnant, probably your birth control fails, and you're not even aware till like your baby is like 6 months or 5 months, and you cannot even abort it anymore, and you call that a blessing. That's not a blessing, because you've already said you don't want to have a child. You don't want it. So these are the people that convince people and tell you, and don't worry, if you have your own child, it might not be exhausting, it might not be tiring. Sasha Lee says, girl, I think about this sometimes. Coming home after a hard day or a week to come home to do the 5 to 10 shift is something I can't wrap my mind around. Right, I already have a job. I don't need a separate unpaid commitment with no sick leave. Like, all I want to do is take this bra off, have some good wine and rest, relaxing out of it. If I had a kid. Cries in single parents of an autism child. I'm still grateful though, because my baby, it teaches me something new every day. Everybody, I can't do it, I can't take the ride, it's exhausting, blah 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 blah. Being a mom is the greatest, like, the most stressful work ever to me, because you're not getting paid for it. You're just doing it. Because you just have to do it. Okay, you're not getting paid for it. And it's exhausting. When I saw this video, it cracked me up, and I decided to share it with you all. Thank you so much for sticking around to this point. Let me know your thoughts and comment.